right, y'all. We back, man. Shrewd news and reviews. We got YNW Melly on trial, man.
Oh yes, it's 4 years after his arrest for murdering his friends YNW Juvie and YNW Sackchester, alleged to have
And they had
murder.
his
We don't
name.
know. He's innocent until proven guilty, but there was some tough opening arguments that came on today. Did you get a chance to watch those, Bob?
Yeah, I seen some of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's got a long road ahead of him. His attorneys and everything are saying that the lack of evidence is overwhelming. They're saying that his defense attorney said on IG that there was an incompetent and incomplete investigation, and that they got like a tough road ahead of them. But I'm not seeing it from what she was saying. She seemed like they had some good ass evidence against him. Um, let's see what his. I'll read a quote from his attorney, Mr. Cohen. He said, "I feel like this case is going to go very poorly for the prosecution. This is so far from a slam dunk case. It's very difficult issues to prove here. They still need to prove that he pulled the trigger, that he was the killer, the faulty investigation, motive, no DNA, no gunshot residue, no murder weapon, no evidence that he pulled the trigger. Very tough case for the prosecution to prove." That's what his defense is saying. But we heard from the opening arguments of the prosecution, and they seem strong. Did you have anything you wanted to say or interject with before I play a little bit of what the prosecution was talking about?
Nah, go ahead. I'm
Okay.
good.
I'll just play a little bit just so y'all could get a little bit of the flavor she was kicking.
Thing you're going to hear is that at 4:35 a.m. on October 26th of 2018, Cortland Henry, the co-defendant, shows up at Memorial Miramar Hospital. In his car, he has two dead bodies. In the front passenger seat is Anthony Williams. In the rear passenger seat is Christopher Thomas. They are dead, they are riddled with bullets, and the car is full of blood. Christopher Thomas is sitting in the rear. There is multiple defects to his body. Anthony Williams, who is sitting in the front, has two major injuries. Officer Jessica Amangor is working a detail at the hospital. Cortland Henry runs in, starts telling a story about a drive-by, quote unquote drive-by. Cortland Henry, and you're going to learn a lot about Miramar geography during the course of this trial, tells a story that he and his buddies, just the two that are in the car, were at a music studio here in downtown Fort Lauderdale at 805 Northeast 4th Avenue. He's going to tell law enforcement, and you're going to hear this statement, you're going to hear the actual audio of him telling law enforcement, "We were at the recording studio, we drove home," because they lived out in West Miramar. You're going to hear Cortland say that they come across in the path of travel, that they're getting off the highway on I-75 southbound to go west on Miramar Parkway. And you're going to hear that on Miramar Parkway, sometime between 160th, which is also commonly referred to as Dykes Road, and 172nd, Cortland Henry says they were shot at.
So that's YNW Melly's side of the story that she just recapped. But we won't play the whole thing here. You could go to Law and Crime website to find this on Facebook too. But she's going to go on to explain that when they shut down the highway and looked for evidence that this drive-by occurred, they didn't find any evidence, any projectiles, any fire casings, even though the car had 16 bullet holes and the rear view mirror was broken out. And this is the vehicle, this is the gray Jeep that we're talking about. But after they reviewed the studio cameras, there was cameras at the studio inside and outside. They was able to see that Jamel Demons was in the back seat. That's YNW Melly. So they're thinking that there was a certain amount of members in the vehicle at one point, and then he wasn't even in there. He had to admit to being in the car only after they saw him on camera. So they got cell phone evidence. They were referred to the cell phone as the digital leash, and it ain't just about the phone calls. They got a step counter on your cell phone that people don't know. A lot of people think that Snapchat messages disappear. Police are able to pull all of those out, and he's on the phone saying a lot of things. And they said that the ballistic evidence is showing that the shots came from inside of the car. They even found one shell casing inside of the car. So it seems like a mountain of evidence. How you feeling so far after seeing the opening arguments and knowing that what you know so far? Just what do you think?
I think it's a battle, man. We're gonna have to, definitely see the whole trial. It's like watching it's like watching the first quarter of a basketball game, and it's like, yeah, once we see and be able to break down the defense, what they're saying, but right now it's like they both trying to convince the jury that they're right.
That is true. You sometimes want to reserve your judgments until all the evidence is presented. But I will say, I think that is looking bad. I think they're going to bake YNW Melly's chicken. I really do, because with that ballistic evidence, I think it's going to be hard to convince people that it was an actual drive-by shooting. They was able to away from the ballistic evidence. I mean, about there's a certain way that the gun the windows should be shattering if the gunshots came from outside of the vehicle. They was able to track his cell phone to a location where it was secluded, where he staged it. They could even tell that those guys were dead before they got shot over there. So I don't think he's going to be able to overcome that. They know that the story didn't go the way he's saying it. But
yeah,
I'm not a lawyer. They never did get a murder weapon. So maybe that's enough for him to get off. They even go on at the end to she brings up a text message where he said, "I did that shit." Hold on, I got it. It's right at the 25-minute mark. Context is important, but it was right after that happened. So, I did that could mean anything, but
You're going to see videos of the defendant doing something called stacking, which is a way to show a gang affiliation and to broadcast it to the world. And this is not just in music videos. This is not just in lyrics, because we're not going to get into that. That's artistic expression. That's not why we are here today. We are here because the defendant murdered two individuals.
That's another thing I wanted to bring up before we even get to that part. You know how on the YSL case, they was bringing up lyrics, and that was like a big thing of the trial. Like, how could we ignore the fact that he's talking about this in his lyrics, and this connects to real crimes? I noticed in this, the lady was like, yo, this guy has a song called Murder on My Mind. They didn't even say they're going to bring that up. They said, we're going to put that in another category. That's artistic expression. That means that they must feel like they have enough evidence that they don't even have to use that. They're not even going for the low-lying fruit. You know what I'm saying? It's like, keep your music out of it. We could convict you of what we got just going off the facts. Everything else, we got to kind of take his word for it. I haven't heard his defense bring up any physical evidence that proves that he could be evident, like he wasn't there. Like, yo, there's video of him here when y'all saying he was there, or he has an alibi where he was with this person the whole time, or anything like that. It's just him saying, oh, there's no motive. Why would I have done this? These guys are my friends.
Yeah, murder's hard to convict, though, even on them. So, yeah, even that, I think everybody's going to feel like that because of the prosecution, right? Because they're going to feel like the prosecution they're not the underdog. He's the underdog. They're the dominant one in this situation. So I can see where you're saying, but the prosecution still got to show where, they got a lot to prove. It's not easy just saying somebody burnt, I mean, it's looking good for him right now, but
I think it's looking terrible, but
I'm
I'm
saying for
glad that we
them,
have
the
a.
prosecutors. Yeah, it's looking
Oh,
good
it's
for
looking
them
good for the
right now.
prosecutor. Okay, then
Yeah,
we on the
but
same
it's still
page.
a fourth. Yeah, it's still a game though. You get what I'm saying? And
No, I mean I've
it's
seen crazy
adjustments that
things. You
made.
know,
Yeah,
we saw OJ get off.
yeah, man. I
You know what I'm
mean,
saying? I'm not trying to say that he's
this is an
OJ or
OJ
whatever. I
thing.
wasn't
Yeah.
there. I don't know what happened in this case, but I just feel like if I had to put a bet on it, it would be on this guy. Even if you say his name slow enough, he's starting to sound guilty. Jamel Demons, spelt demons. You got a trial of, you know, FT aliens, Broward folks. I don't
Yeah.
know. I just think he's in for an uphill battle. I even have a little bit from the defense. Hold on. You can hear a little bit of their flavor.
Prosecutors are given great power, endless resources to perform their mission of pursuing justice. But that's not what occurred here. What they will bring you is a case that is riddled with reasonable doubt, that is founded on an incompetent and incomplete investigation, and the exercise of poor judgment at every turn. The state cannot prove beyond a reasonable doubt the allegations that they have made. And there is a reason for that. You recall Ms. Bradley, some of you may recall, during jury selection, going to great lengths to let you know that she does not have to prove motive. And she's right about that. The law doesn't require her to prove motive. You know what does require motive? A young man to wake up one day and decide that he's going to kill two of his best friends. Best friends that he grew up with, best friends that he hangs out with, best friends who he lives with, best friends whose careers he was trying to launch alongside his own. They have no reason for why he would do this, because there is no reason. And if there's no reason, it doesn't make sense. And if after 4 years of investigation, the state comes and says, hey, he killed two of his friends, his best friends, and you're wondering why, and their answer is, oh, I don't know. That's the first indication that they're just guessing and don't know what they're talking about.
No, now that hearing that, it's a case, man. This is a fight. You get what I mean?
Listen, it ain't no open and shut type of
Yeah,
thing.
this
It's
ain't no
gonna be a
open and
trial.
shut. Yeah.
You know, that wasn't very compelling to me, but it might
It's
work
not
on
that
the
it's
jurors though.
compelling. It's just the fact that I feel that you gotta have evidence to, you're gonna have to have evidence to, to corroborate that, he wanted to kill his friend.
That's why they're gonna bring up stuff like gun or shot residue. They have forensic investigators that could prove that the residue and the powder comes out in a certain pattern and tattoos a body, and they could tell how far somebody was from a gun. They're tricky with that kind of stuff, man. And they found shell casings. They found 8 shell casings in the Everglades. That's not even a scene that, if YNW Melly did this, he didn't count on that scene being brought up. They were saying that it happened somewhere else. So at a murder scene that the police were drawn to for cell phone records, they was able to recover 8 shell casings. So it's not like they don't have no evidence of something happening. It's just connecting YNW Melly to it. Look, I wish both sides the best of luck. I hope it works out for everybody. But the family feels like, his chicken should be baked. So we're just gonna have to watch and see what happens. Y'all let us
Yeah.
know in the comments, man. Which
Well,
way is it looking like now? It's early in the game to tell, but if you had to put your money
way
on
too
which
early
side,
to tell. Yeah, it's way too early to tell.
yeah. Sometimes you got to reserve your judgment till you see everything. So y'all tap in with us, man. Until the next one. Now
Yay.
we gonna move on